Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We may not be a large group, but we're still fill the house with love. That's what matters. Yeah. Kind of what Yahweh brought to me today to share has to do with our walk. Just a few things. How in our walks, we should do the best we can to emulate Yahshua, our master, because he was our perfect example. Though, we know we may not be able to give sight to every blind person or give legs to every lame person, but there's other things we can do to establish ourselves. And as we do our walk, one of the big ones is the love that we show for each other and for others. A lot of times, like with all the things that are going on in the world right now, there are so many people who are scared and who are lost, who are lonely, and a lot of times just a smile and a kind word can do more for them than a whole sermon. And it can open a door. If they think that you truly care about their condition, they're going to be more apt to listen to what you have to say. And which is something that I have working on myself. That's the reason I bring it up, because I know that I have to work in these areas. And I like to start with Matthew 10, if we could. And this is where Yahshua is sending out the 12. I guess kind of a trial run, maybe he's giving them instructions on what they're to do. And we'll start with 10:1. We'll start at verse 5. Because it just lists the 12 in the first 4. But Yahshua sent these 12 out, having commanded them, saying, "Do not go into the way of the nations, and do not enter a city of their Shomerion, Monim, but rather go to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And as you go, proclaim, saying, the reign of the heavens has drawn near. Heal the sick, cleanse the lepers, raise the dead, cast out demons. You have received without paying, give without being paid. Do not acquire gold or silver or copper for your money belts, or a bag for the journey, or 2 undergarments, or sandals, or staffs, for the worker is worthy of his food. And into whatever city or village you enter, ask who is worthy in it, and stay there until you leave. And as you enter into a house, greet it. And if the house is worthy, let your peace come upon it. But if it is not worthy, let your peace return to you. And whoever does not receive you, nor hear your words, when you leave that house or city, shake off the dust from your feet. Truly, I say to you, it shall be more bearable for the land of Sodom and Gomorrah in the day of judgment than for that city. See, I send you out as sheep in the midst of wolves. Therefore, be wise as serpents and innocent as doves. And I think this is a really important thing, when we go out and, we have no choice. As long as we're still in this physical vessel, we have to live in the world and we have to be around others. I know personally, I've never been an outgoing person. I've, been a hermit for a good chunk of my life, for lack of a better word, but, and I've always tried to steer clear of people, but that's not what we're told to do. We have to be out amongst people. And while we're out there, we have to be, wise as serpents. We are what we're given. We are held to that standard, the standard that we are given, the truth that we have found that he has blessed us with. So we can't deny that. But yet we can do it in a way that's innocent as a dove. And you catch more flies with honey than you do with bad stuff. So I'll leave it at that. But beware of men, for they shall deliver you up to Sanhedrins and flog you in their congregations. And you shall be brought before governors and sovereigns for my sake, as a witness to them and to the nations. But when they deliver you up, do not worry about how or what you should speak, for it shall be given to you in that hour when you shall speak. And I'll go ahead to the next one. For it is not you who speak, but the Spirit of your Father speaking in you. And I don't know if anybody else has experienced this, or maybe I'm just different, but, not that I'm anything special, just different. But I've noticed a lot of times, when I go to say something to somebody, if I just kind of separate myself from it and just let the words flow, scripture usually comes out. And a lot of times I don't even remember reading that scripture that I'm quoting to them. Doesn't mean I didn't read it. I do have a bad memory, but but it comes from the Ruach. He gives us the words to say. So when we are speaking to others, give him that opportunity. Don't close ourselves off to it. And I know that when I first started into this, I was really bad when I was talking to people who weren't into this, of trying to baffle them with BS more than just lay out the truth. I wanted to impress them by how much I had been given and how much I'd known. And that gains neither us, nor the Father, nor the person we're speaking to. And brother shall deliver up brother to death, and a father his child, and children shall rise up against parents, and shall put them to death. And you shall be hated by all for my name's sake. But he who shall have endured to the end shall be saved. And when they persecute you in this city, flee to another. For truly I say to you, you shall by no means have gone through the cities of Israel before the Son of Adam comes. A taught one is not above his teacher, nor a servant above his master. It is enough for the taught one to become like his teacher, and a servant like his master. If they have called the master of the house Beelzebub, how much more those of his household? Therefore do not fear them, for whatever is covered shall be revealed, and whatever is hidden shall be made known. What I say to you in the dark, speak in the light, and what you hear in the ear, proclaim on the housetops. And do not fear those who kill the body, but are unable to kill the being, but rather fear him who is able to destroy both being and body in Gehenna. Are not 2 sparrows sold for a copper coin? And not one of them falls to the ground without your Father. And even the hairs of your head are all numbered. So do not fear. You are worth more than many sparrows. Everyone, therefore, who shall confess me before men, him I shall also confess before my Father who is in the heavens. But whoever shall deny me before men, him I shall also deny before my Father who is in the heavens. Yes.
Matthew, the only chapter that talks about using the word heaven, the kingdom of heaven or heaven. All of it, all the rest of it is all right.
Mm-hmm.
Chapter.
Yes. Yeah, it is. Yes, good point.
Matthew obviously recognized that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
Most people,
Yeah.
Say they're going to heaven or tell you you're going to heaven. Well, Matthew's the only one he refers to as the kingdom of heaven, or the heavens. The word Shemin, I'm like you, some of these words I've done years ago. But
Yeah.
all the rest of them, and if you read every one of the writings in there, is to the church of Yahweh. That's
Yes.
the only name is
Yes. Yes, and that's that's an important part. Was thinking about this morning. It's so many people get tied up in YouTube for things or online, and there's so many on there. And if one isn't really steeped in Scripture, it's so easy to get drawn off in another direction. We've had those that recently left that are now denying Yahshua, denying the New Testament. We have, and it's so easy to get drawn into that if you allow yourself. So if you don't have a good foundation in Scripture, which should be your beginning of your walk, you're bound to fall.
I don't know how long Harry and Carol were, but I mean, when they fell, and I was talking to people like guys in St. Louis, but I think I told you guys, they were making $150,000 a year back then. That's worldwide. Well, when they come in to the truth, and that letter that come from Herbert, and he told Myers, he said, "Yes, I know the names," and he said, "If I did, I'd lose over half my compensation." Well, what's this all about? Money or what you? But it didn't take a 1 month to go back into Easter and Christmas. They quit.
Yeah.
I mean, just like.
Yeah, Harry, did you have something to add?
It's just astonishing how far off things get,
Yes.
we start to drift.
Yep.
And those people around us, Yahweh's laws, we know that's Yahweh, but how the Sabbath, laws and everything, and now they've just gone completely the way of the world.
Yeah.
Observing Christmas, their main thing is Easter and Christmas, and they would never have done that in the Lord.
No.
Grace.
Yeah.
Mercy.
Yeah, how easily.
The other day, tell me, "Oh yeah, we found out we've been wrong all that time." And I looked at him, I said, "No, you weren't wrong."
Yeah.
I said, "You've heard the saying that the dog goes by." Well, I said, "Well, the dog goes back to his vomit. He can turn around and walk off."
Yeah. How easily the proud fall. If we have to really watch our steps, and we know that there is one Father, and He set down His word. He's unchanging. This thing that I'm working on, well, it's this I've been really coming out to me a lot lately, is these dispensations that they speak about in much of the churches today. And what it amounts to is claiming that each separate time was for this separate group of people, which is wrong. There's one Father. He sets one set of rules. It's never changed. They say, well, the Old Testament, that was for them, which they call all Israelites Jews, but we know that all Jews are Israelites, but not all Israelites are Jews. But they like to lump everything into one deal. But the first thousands of the followers were all Israelites.
Teachers get off on that.
Yes.
They think that the Israelites in the Old Testament were all Jews.
Yeah. And that's become kind of a slang for all Israelites is Jewish in most places.
No.
Yeah, it's and that's where what's infiltrated many of the Christian churches, I think, or is this idea that we don't have to keep all that old stuff because that was for them, and now we are the church, the new church, those followers of Yahshua, but if you look back, the word actually translates as assembly. And it goes back into the Old Testament to the original. Yes,
Yeah,
Roger.
I don't know. I doubt it. Y'all have heard of it. He was in the world like that. He went to international and all that, but he was one of them. Jim Baxter. And he left to go on some kind of, crazy deal. He come home and then lined his sidewalk with Christmas lights and Christmas trees. He's out there kicking them as hard as he can, tearing them down. Well, what if Jesus would come back? Son, he said, that's what I'm afraid of. I don't want him to think I'm part of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I like that. Kind of really. Always say, he that endures to the end.
Yes. Yeah. No one saved yet.
It doesn't say, always say, it says you will be hated.
No.
Governor, you will be hated for my name's sake. Basically.
Yeah. And that's.
The other day on Joni, I watched some of that stuff. He was talking like he said, who endures to the end. And the very next breath was that, well, we can't lose our salvation.
Yeah.
And I thought, what did you just read?
Yeah.
But then you can't turn around if you're back, once they go.
No. I mean.
In other words, if you have faith, so that's one thing. Faith. But just walk away and not do help like that. So to a sword, I understand what people say, always be saying mindset. Faith is the hope for. We should all have that faith.
Yes.
We should all have that rock solid foundation. Time, we still have to endure.
Yeah.
So it's when you have both, will only be complete at the end. Not the day of a man's word. That point, if you remain endured and remain faithful to Yahweh, what I don't understand is Catholics how they and they're almost possessed with the fact of the boy, the baby. No, he's a grown man. He's coming back with a two-edged sword. He don't need the sword because he's going to destroy you with the breath of his mouth. 200 million men is going to be the very first act of the beating the saints in the air and come back down. But where does the people miss that?
Yeah. That's the definition of a great and terrible day. It's going to be great for believers, but those who aren't, those who are trying to stand against him, it's going to be a terrible day.
Maybe what God's wife did by having a child, our son, the child was the reincarnation of Nimrod. So that's where the infatuation lady comes. I know that, but I'm just saying. They don't realize that they're professional. If they actually read the Bible where it says when he comes back, his very first act, 200 million men, what are they talking about? Some baby. I seen a guy on, I don't even know what it was, I was watching that. He made the comment, oh no, God is just love. He wouldn't do it. I said, you don't know the thing. Tell William, I said, he tells me he's going to destroy me. I know I'm done. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah. He does love those that are his.
Oh, yes.
He loves us all. He loves everyone. He desires that none should perish, but we do it ourselves.
enough out anything from the ability that he will have.
Yeah.
his children.
Yeah.
And if the other children are rebellious, and they destroy that.
Yeah.
Because he is love. That is love.
Yeah, he is. He does love.
Scripture,
I mean,
people walk at the fact that in the Old Testament, leaders of the temple,
mm-hmm.
and they would have would not submit to the parents and would not submit to the elders of the city, then there was one thing left, and that was the thing.
Yeah.
But first stone had to be thrown.
Yeah.
So when you realize the gravity, then a lot more in those days, you put a lot more effort into it. Make sure that child didn't get to that.
Yeah.
Because you were going to be the first. So that Yahweh put it like him. He will be the first one. Yeah, he will be the first one. The way he was talking about the same thing. But for people where, come up and start, crosswise or something, he said, it's this animal fruit. That wasn't what I was going to say. I forgot what I was going to say.
Yeah. When we were talking about the once saved, always saved, and I've had talk with preachers and stuff, and they say, well, they said, well, not that everybody that thinks they're saved is saved. They said, you're not actually really saved, or you really are saved. One or the other. And I said, well, if you want to look at it like that, it's a matter of perception. Of course, the Father knows whether we're truly going to be saved or not, which nobody is saved yet, but we don't. Regardless, we don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. No matter how much we love the Father, we don't know what choices we're going to make. That's why we've got to really be really observant of our walks and of what we do and what we say, because it's like we were just talking about those that separated out and went to these beliefs that Yahshua was made up by the Catholic Church. That's.
Yes, Jesus was made up.
Yeah, which, Jesus might have been, but Yahshua was.
No, not Yahshua, not, but Jesus was.
Yeah, but let's go ahead and move on here. Let's go to Deuteronomy 5, if we would. And this is Moshe speaking to the Israelites before they went into the Promised Land, and resetting the events that happened on Mount Sinai, and instructing them in their walk. And Moshe called all Israel and said to them, Hear, O Israel, the laws and right rulings which I speak in your hearing today, and ye shall learn them and guard to do them. Yahweh our Elohim made a covenant with us in Horeb. Yahweh did not make this covenant with our fathers, but with us, those who are here today, all of us who are alive. Yahweh spoke with you face to face on the mountain from the midst of the fire. I stood between Yahweh and you at that time to declare to you the word of Yahweh. For you were afraid because of the fire, and you did not go up the mountain, saying, I am Yahweh your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim, out of the house of bondage. You have no other mighty ones against my face. You do not make for yourself a carved image, any likeness of which is in the heavens above, or which is in the earth beneath, or which is in the waters under the earth. You do not bow down to them nor serve them. For I, Yahweh, your Elohim, am a jealous El, visiting the crookednesses of the fathers upon the children to the third and fourth generations of those who hate me, but showing loving commitment to thousands of those who love me and guard my commands. You do not bring the name of Yahweh your Elohim to naught, for Yahweh does not leave him unpunished who brings his name to naught. Guard the Sabbath day, to set it apart, as Yahweh your Elohim commanded you. 6 days you labor and shall do all your work, but the seventh day is a Sabbath of Yahweh your Elohim. You do not do any work, you, nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your male servant, nor your female servant, nor your ox, nor your donkey, nor any of your cattle, nor your stranger who is within your gates, so that your male servant and your female servant rest as you do. And you shall remember that you were a slave in the land of Mitzrayim, and that Yahweh your Elohim brought you out from there by a strong hand and by an outstretched arm. Therefore, Yahweh your Elohim commanded you to perform the Sabbath day. Respect your father and your mother, as Yahweh your Elohim has commanded you, so that your days are prolonged, and so that it is well with you on the soil which Yahweh your Elohim is giving you. You do not murder, you do not commit adultery, you do not steal, you do not bear false witness against your neighbor, you do not covet your neighbor's wife, nor do you desire your neighbor's house, his field, nor his male servant, nor his female servant, his ox, nor his donkey, or whatever belongs to your neighbor. These words Yahweh spoke to all your assembly in the mountain from the midst of the fire of the clouds and of the thick darkness with a loud voice, and he added no more. And he wrote them on 2 tablets of stone and gave them to me. And it came to be, when you heard the voice from the midst of the darkness, while the mountain was burning with fire, that you came near me, all the heads of your tribes and your elders, and said, See, Yahweh our Elohim has shown us his esteem and his greatness, and we have heard his voice from the midst of the fire. Today we have seen that Elohim speaks with man, and he lives. And now why should we die? For this great fire is consuming us. If we hear the voice of Yahweh our Elohim anymore, then we shall die. For who is there of all flesh who has heard the voice of the living Elohim speaking from the midst of the fire, as we have, and does live? You go near and hear all that Yahweh our Elohim says, and speak to us all that Yahweh our Elohim says to you, and we shall hear and do it. And Yahweh heard the voice of your words, and you spoke to me. And Yahweh said to me, I have heard the voice of the words of this people, which they have spoken to you. They have done well in all that they have spoken. Oh, that they had such a heart in them to fear me and to guard all my commands always, so that it might be well with them and with their children forever. Go, say to them, return to your tents. But you stand here before me and let me speak to you all the commands and the laws and the right rulings which you are to teach them. And they shall do them in the land which I am giving them to possess. And you shall guard to do as Yahweh your Elohim has commanded you. Do not turn aside to the right or to the left. Walk in all the ways which Yahweh your Elohim has commanded you, so that you live, and it be well with you, and you shall prolong your days in the land which you possess. Hallelujah. This is a fine example of why our walk is so important. And our walk is 24/7. It's not, not just when we're around each other or not. Yeah. I know that, as I say, most of what I speak of is stuff that I have to work on myself, and I do. I get carried away talking about the good old days sometimes, which weren't good. Some of the things which, part of the reason is to remember how far I've come, not I have come, but how far Yahweh has brought me. Not that I have done any of it on my own, and it's one thing talking between ourselves when no one else is around and stuff. But then when we get in public, if we're trying to speak to someone, and then we, it's so easy to get drawn into it, and and that's something that I myself, I know I have to work on. And from there, let's go to Hebrews 11. We're told to be set apart in our walk. And if in our walk they can't identify a difference in us from the world, then how are we set apart? I mean, it's like I say, these are things that I have to work on, that I struggle with.
Still, what I was working on. All these people on the same
Yeah.
It's scary. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
What we know, what it says in Zechariah 13, read verse 9 and 10, I believe it is. It talks about 1/3 of us all going to die. I mean, 2/3.
Yeah.
All going to die. And that's not, that's serious people.
That's a lot of people.
But if it's 2/3 of all the Jews, it's not talking about just Israel. But what are we going to be? And I'm giving my message. What I was going to do today.
Yeah.
That's scary. It is.
Yeah, it is, and
We got people in here. We all appreciate have guns and we appreciate guns. I don't want to shoot. I don't want to shoot nobody. Ever.
No.
Even up in my life. Just car accidents. I got those in here. And always got stuff like that in your head. I don't want to see it.
No. No.
I don't want to hear it. I don't want to see what happens to those people. Because once you take that person's life, you don't realize it. The windfall. There's people that depend on that people or somebody's child. There's people don't even think about it. Too many ways to go.
Yes.
Scary.
Yes, sir.
When somebody is shot, that's not pretty.
No.
And entertainment is so neat. They just fall over like a
Yeah.
piece on a chessboard. But in real life, it's ugly.
Yes, it is. It is. Oh.
It changes you. Everything.
Yeah.
See people running after me. I've got that stuff. I don't see.
No.
I mean, don't get me wrong. If you have to help somebody, but if there's already somebody there, I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want that.
Yeah, I saw in a deal where they, talking about the anti-Semitism. There was, they spoke to a bunch of these, they're children, at these colleges. And, we're asking them questions about, who the Israelites truly were, or the Jewish people, of course, as they know them, and a lot of this stuff. And they didn't know. 90% of them had no idea who they were even talking about. They said they were chanting from the river to the sea. And they asked them, they said, well, what river and what sea? We don't know. They didn't know. They were just following a fad, and that's the horrible thing. That's where, a lot of this YouTube and a lot of this other stuff leads to.
Have you been any of y'all following this president of Harvard? He is such an anti-Semite. I had no idea. We give him $700 million in tax money. I didn't have no clue that much. Now that Congress finally got the upper hand, if they don't fire, they don't get the money this year. So maybe they're going to get something done, and that's Yale, Harvard, all of them. All these big colleges, all
Yeah. And kind of getting back to the message, in our walk, Yahshua is our example. And if we don't have belief or faith in Yahshua and what he did and what he said, then how can we walk as he walked? And, we talk a lot about faith and belief, but, we seldom talk about what is our faith? What should our faith be? How do we just believe that he existed? Do we just, like a lot of them do, as long as you say the prayer and you believe that he existed? Yes, that's, hallelujah. Yeah. Belief without works. Show me your belief without works, and I'll show you my belief by my works. Yeah. But, we kind of need to think, do we need to have, should our faith be that whatever our hearts desire, we will get? Or should our faith be that whatever the Father's will is good enough? That's all we need, and that's, I've heard people say in the past, I prayed and prayed and I never got an answer, or nothing ever happened, so I don't know. Well, he doesn't live on our time. We live on his time. He created time. And so many, I had someone ask me last week, they said, well, I've been praying and praying. They'd had a heart attack. And she said, well, I've just been praying and praying and praying, but how long do I pray? I said, you don't ever stop. You don't cease. You always pray. Even if you get what you're praying for, you still continue to pray and to praise him and thank him for it. The prayers should never cease. Yeah, pray unceasingly. Yeah. I mean, that's what I try to do. I mean, it's, the world does its job of trying to distract us as we're going along our walk. And, if we just force ourselves to get in the habit of everything we do, everything we run across, just talk to Yahweh about it. Even just in your mind for a second, thank you, Yahweh, or, Yahweh, please guide me in this, or, whatever the case may be. If we get in the habit of doing that, it makes it a lot easier for our mind to automatically go there when it should, instead of being distracted by other things, it keeps our mind on where it should be. Yeah. 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 Our faith needs to be that he is our loving Father, and that he is, his will is the best for us, regardless of what it may be, whether it be trials, whether tribulations, whether it be something else. All that we do and all that we, all of our walk should be with him in mind. And we'll start there at Hebrews 11:1. And belief is the substance of what is expected, the proof of what is not seen. For by this the elders obtained witness. By belief we understand that the ages were prepared by the word of Elohim, so that what is seen was not made of what is visible. By belief Abel offered to Elohim a greater slaughter offering than Cain, through which he obtained witness that he was righteous, Elohim witnessing of his gifts, and through it, having died, he still speaks. By belief, Anak was translated so as not to see death. He was not found because Elohim had translated him. For before his translation, he obtained witness that he pleased Elohim. But without belief, it is impossible to please him. For he who comes to Elohim has to believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of those who earnestly seek him. By belief, Noah, having been warned of what was yet unseen, having feared, prepared an ark to save his house, through which he condemned the world and became heir of the righteousness which is according to belief. By belief, Abraham obeyed when he was called to go out to the place where he was about to receive as an inheritance, and he went out, not knowing where he was going. By belief, he sojourned in the land of promise as a stranger, dwelling in tents with Yitzhak, Jacob, the heirs with him of the same promise. For he was looking for the city having foundations, whose builder and maker is Elohim. By belief also, Sarah herself was enabled to conceive seed, and she bore a child when she was past the normal age, because she deemed him trustworthy who had promised. And so for one, and him as good as dead, were born as numerous as the stars of the heaven, as countless as the sands which is by the seashore. In belief, all these died, not having received the promise, but seeing them from a distance, welcomed and embraced them, and confessed that they were aliens and strangers on the earth. And I can relate to that. I've never, I don't feel anymore, especially anymore, even more than before, that I belong here on this earth. My spirit strives for the kingdom. Not that the kingdom won't be here on earth, but I'm talking as in the world, as in this earthly flesh, in this worldly flesh, that it's more that I just feel that longing for the Father and to be in the kingdom. And I lost my place. Okay, thank you. In belief, all these died, not having received the promise, but seeing them from a distance, welcomed and embraced them, and confessed that they were aliens and strangers on the earth. For those who speak this way make it clear that they seek a fatherland. And yet, if they had indeed kept remembering that place from which they had come out, they would have had the chance to return. But now they long for a better place, that is, a heavenly. Therefore, Elohim is not ashamed to be called their Elohim, for he has prepared a city for them, which the New Jerusalem. By belief, Abraham, when he was tried, offered up Yitzhak. And he who had received the promises offered up his only brought forth son, of whom it was said, "In Yitzhak your seed shall be called," reckoning that Elohim was able to raise even from the dead, from which he received him back as a type. By belief, Yitzhak blessed Jacob and Esau concerning that which was to come. By belief, Jacob, when he was dying, blessed each of the sons of Joseph, and did reverence on the top of his staff. By belief, Joseph, when he was dying, made mention of the outgoing of the children of Israel, and gave orders concerning his bones. By belief, Moshe, having been born, was hidden 3 months by his parents, because they saw he was a comely child, and were not afraid of the sovereign's command. By belief, Moshe, having become great, refused to be called the son of the daughter of Pharaoh, choosing rather to be afflicted with the people of Elohim than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a time. And if that isn't a comment for today, how, yep, me, and I read this, and I think, our walk is a sacrifice, is a living sacrifice. Our bodies are supposed to be a living sacrifice, and just how much am I willing to give up? How much comfort? How much,
See what those girls and guys on, just to get 10 minutes of fame, they sell their soul for that.
Yeah.
You look at the things they'll do, the
Mm-hmm.
stuff that they do for working, but keep that junk to get money and stuff. I go, where is? Well, they're all right now. It's me, and what can I do to get me out of it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
idol, all of it.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm not trying to walk my mind on it, and I think I probably told you this. But yeah. He played part of the lesbian, I don't want that. And I've never heard much because I said, no, I
Yeah.
it ain't happening. But I told her, I said, you know what, you're liable to lose your being along the way because that's what you're searching for. You find out who you are, what you are. And I said, you know, went to church enough to know that. But see these people, you know, they're self. Now, I mean, all they want is their glory.
Yeah. Yeah, the adversary has done everything he can to turn it away from the Father's glory and try to search for our own glory, you know, and you know, and when I look at, you know, I guess kind of as an example, you know, not to say any one thing is right or wrong or whatever, but you know, if I fail to set my coffee pot before it gets dark, I don't drink coffee the next morning. You know, which I miss it, but not that there's anything wrong with it. I ain't saying that. I'm just saying that that's one way that I sacrifice to the Father. You know, if I make that mistake, then, you know, not that it's, you know, I'm not trying to say that that's for everyone, but, you know, just for me personally, that's the way I look at it. You know, the way I look at you know, ways to make sacrifices for Him and to build up His glory. And I guess, and I think we'll go ahead and finish up with a little bit in Romans 12.
All should have an interpreter.
Yeah,
I mean, I like to go get you wrong.
yeah, and I've noticed run into a lot of people that have said that, you know, there's a lot of people claiming to be in this belief that are against Paul. But what seems odd to me is they use the claims that the Catholic Church makes for him as a reason that he's to go against him. You know, the Catholic Church claims he was the one that separated everything, you know, that made the Christian separate from the Israelite or the Jew, as they call it. You know, he was the one that declared you didn't have to keep the commands. He's the one that declared all this stuff. Well, it's their the Jew or the Catholic misunderstanding that started all of it. Yeah.
They have to keep kingdom from fear.
Yeah.
Not Paul.
Yeah, but they claim, you know, and most of the Christian churches now, you know, they claim that it was Paul that said you don't have to keep the commands, you don't have to, you know, you don't anymore, all that stuff's done away with. But, you know, that all traces back to the Catholic Church.
Where they're talking, when they were telling on this, what was it he said, on this rock, but the word was, he was talking about himself.
Yeah,
Yahshua,
yeah,
but Peter or Petros was pebble. And then when he used the word, and I can't remember, I forgot the Hebrew anymore, I forgot, but the word he used, on my rock.
Yeah.
On this rock.
on this rock, on him, yes, is where the church will
He's
stand.
talking about himself, and there's so much, you know, so many things in there that they use to like lead people in like I just go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, Lynn. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
First of all, I haven't had peace in that church all my life.
Yeah.
I just never felt the peace.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'd already been raised on the Bible.
Yeah.
For that. So I already read the Bible.
Yeah.
And I had the advantage that I knew that what they were saying was not right.
It said, you read the Bible, priest will tell a Catholic person, you don't need to write, I'll tell you.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
And my thing that I hated most was Mary.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Mhm.
Well, the nation to start with is great. I don't know if y'all ever seen the Madonna they got there at the Catholic Church at the lake.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like,
I work for Paul. Oh, right, and him, who was the congressman, was very got in the wheelchair
Oh, yeah, I can't
years
remember.
ago. It was very good. But he was there. I mean, he was, at the time, he was the congressman. I'll think of it in a minute. But we get in the car, and he wants to go show me this. And he says, oh, he said, isn't she just beautiful? I said, what? A woman standing up there. Well, that's our lady, our protector. I said, look, I said, you're not supposed to worship that lady. He said, well, we give 900, almost $1 million for it. I said, well, I get my money. He said, got a real gold leaf on it. And he's trying to tell me why they got this woman.
Well, that's where I work.
With the lake?
No,
Oh, they got
No.
one there too. I haven't seen. Well, this
Well.
is here.
no, that's what I'm talking about. No, on this side of the lake.
On the other side. Oh, how we find. If you go to Red Mill, Versailles, over there. This one here, down here, you go through the strip.
Yeah.
Wait, one second.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, we know that there's a lot of things, but what I was saying about, about so many of them want to discredit Paul because of the claims that the Catholic Church makes about him, not because of what they read, because of gaining understanding of what he was trying to say and the words that he was using. They just go strictly to that and use that to try to discredit him. And once they start throwing chapters out of the scriptures, where does it stop? It has, you can't, this is either the word as he wanted it or it's not.
You watch those programs, they try to discredit anything that's in here and the junk that they got out there floating around like Mary Magdalene and all that. They want to put it in there.
Yeah. Yep. That's kind of something that kind of came to mind that I've been thinking about a lot. I mean, there's several who, prefer to use the King James, which it's a good, it's great, but, so many out there use the King James, all the Christian churches pretty much. I mean, of course, a lot of them now, well, the oddball stuff's getting into some of the other versions and stuff, but when you come up in the King James, if you weren't brought up into this, you have no way to know the names.
Well, when you tell those people the word hell, it's great. It's always defined great. Now there's the word Gehenna.
Mhm.
And the word cross was at one time. It was Constantine used it in the Latin Vulgate the first time was said crooks were used. And there's several words that they just over and over use. And it's not there. It's Adam,
there's a lot of animals.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's sometimes what our time with the Bible, says the cross, and the Bible says
Mm-hmm.
Jesus, so that's the Bible, that's free.
Yeah.
And I think up on that, how the word our time,
Yeah.
even in the Bible.
Yeah. Yeah. But we have to be careful, if we're going to say and claim, well, this is the actual read out word, this is the word, and Yahweh who created the heavens and the earth can keep his word how he wants it. When we do that and then come against them because they don't know the names, we have to be careful about it. I'm not saying we shouldn't do it. I mean, we need to, if they don't hear, how are they going to know? Yeah. But yet, we have to be careful not to contradict ourselves when we're speaking about it. That was.
And especially when we first got in. You want everybody, if you got a diet this big, it's enough for everybody. You want to give everybody a piece of it.
Yeah. Whether they want it or not. Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
I mean, when you discover this, there's nothing else in the world that's even relevant.
Yeah.
They don't see it like that.
No.
Nothing relevant except for what we said.
The problem is they don't see it.
Yeah.
They saw it as a diamond.
And I wouldn't take it, the death is physical, we,
You can't have a desire for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, if he doesn't open their eyes, and you know, I mean, I know I use myself as an example a lot, but I'm the only person I'm around all the time, except for Roger. So I said I know I use myself for an example an awful lot, but that's just because I'm around myself all the time, and the only one that more that's Roger probably that I'm around. So anyone else, but yeah, we do. We have a lot of good discussions. Yeah.
And I don't want to be the first to admit, I mean, I pray hard every night, morning for our safety.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, just a couple times, I think, not a couple times, so.
Yeah.
I mean, I could, I believe, you know, these things like that. And I will tell you, well, no. And, but I'm not mad at Yahweh, but I want an answer. You know what? Why have I got this? Why do I not know what to do? And I mean, just, you know, it's funny to the point, well, what, have you just totally thrown me away? You know, that's a thought. Well, I think that done that, he just forgot. You know, it's nothing to do with whatever. But I mean, I'm still receiving the blessings.
Right.
It's unreal blessing. Yeah, I'm not joking though. Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Job, what Yahweh did. Otherwise, we wouldn't know Job. So when you say you're not Job, that's not really all the city. Say that because
We don't know what yet to come. Because, well, I do feel that, you know, if I go through this, I'm in. If there's not a light, you know.
But luckily we know better. Praise y'all.
I sure pray it ain't rain.
Okay, I'll go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah, but I mean,
so that's going to be
between here and there.
well, even if it doesn't happen between here and there, you get the change.
But I'm sure that he sees a lot of comments. But I mean, once you've gone through this, there's not a whole lot you can figure out. Tell me I wasn't too smart to start with. Don't be upstairs now, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, be refined as gold will be put through the fire, and mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's like.
How about some coffee? How about some coffee?
We should rejoice.
How about some coffee? I would like it.
Yeah, the New Testament, we talk about the end days. It was already the end days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
The end days
Mm-hmm.
have not, it's not a new thing for us.
Nope.
For us, 2 days ago.
Yeah. We're just 2,000 years close for us. We're just 2,000 years closer to His return. You know, and every day we're another day closer yet. You know, so you know it's important.
The last days have been happening.
Yeah, definitely.
Not.
No. Okay. I'll go ahead and do Romans 12 here. I'm sure everybody else's bellies are grumbling a little too, so I don't want to be too long-winded. I call upon you, therefore, brothers, through the compassion of Elohim, to present your bodies a living offering, set apart, well-pleasing to Elohim, your responsible worship. And do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you prove what is that good and well-pleasing and perfect desire of Elohim. For I say, through the favor which has been given to me, to everyone who is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he should think, but to think soberly, as Elohim has given to each a measure of belief. For as we have many members in one body, but all members do not have the same function, so we, the many, are one body in Messiah, and members, each one of one another. Now, having different gifts, according to the favor which was given to us, let us use them accordingly. If prophecy, according to the proportion of belief. If serving, in the serving. Or he who is teaching, in the teaching. Or he who encourages, in the encouragement. Or he who is sharing, in sincerity. He who is leading, in diligence. He who shows compassion, joyously. And when I read these, I think these different gifts, I don't see it as, you get one gift and that's what you get. No, as we need them, Yahweh gives us these gifts to do His will. Yes, Roger.
Think about our police not being here. That's part of it. So, I mean, literally,
Yeah, part of the body is gone.
May not, doesn't matter who it is, everybody has.
Yeah.
Part of it. And
Yeah.
if they're gone, we're missing part of our body. And if somebody's gone, we're missing part of that body.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, go ahead, Connie.
I was telling David, some of the brethren are missing. I just miss them.
Yeah.
I miss everyone. Not like
Why are you not here?
Yeah.
Everyone was together.
Oh,
Yes.
So when we have some of the brethren that's gone, I just so miss everyone
Yeah,
together. I
definitely.
love being with the brethren that are with us.
Yeah.
I love spending that time. The ones that are not here, it's just we want
Yes.
everyone together all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
And that's,
So
I'm sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
That's why we're longing for that kingdom.
Yeah.
Because that's when it's going to happen.
Yeah. I was going to say, I noticed that out and about in the world, when I run across another believer, I can just feel the joy well up in me. It's just such an awesome feeling to run across, whether they're from our assembly or from another, as long as, I've had a lot of times with wearing the shirts, I'd have people come up and ask me, well, are there many believers in this part of the, I said, oh yeah, there's several of us. Yeah. Yeah, at Esther.
Yeah, I got up. She said, I like your shirt. And I said, you know what it said? She said, oh yeah, we're our group of people. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They're just going to come over and play. We can play music and have a big deal.
And the COVID hit, which, there was probably a reason for it. It's Yahweh. It's not. It's and I'll continue. Or I think we're on 9 now, verse 9. Let love be without hypocrisy. Shrink from what is wicked. Cling to what is good. In brotherly love, tenderly loving towards one another. In appreciation, giving preference to one another, to each other. Not idle in duty, ardent in spirit, serving the master. Rejoicing in the expectancy, enduring under pressure, continuing steadfastly in prayer, imparting to the needs of the set apart ones, pursuing kindness towards strangers. Bless those who persecute you. Bless and do not curse. Rejoice with those who rejoice, and weep with those who weep. Be of the same mind towards one another. Do not be proud in mind, but go along with the lowly. Do not be wise in your own estimation. Repay no one for evil for evil. Respect what is right in the sight of all men. If possible, on your part, be at peace with all men. Beloved, Do not revenge yourselves, but give place to the wrath. For it has been written, vengeance is mine, I shall repay, says Yahweh. Instead, if your enemy hungers, feed him. If he thirsts, give him a drink. For in so doing, you shall heap coals of fire on his head. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. And I'm going to continue into 13 just a little bit. Or no, I'm sorry. No, that was something else. I apologize. But I think that kind of rounds up everything we've discussed today. That kind of puts into, kind of brings it all together. That our walk should not, we've got to be as shrewd as a serpent, but harmless as a dove, showing love to one another, to strangers, to those who may want to condemn us. We still should show love to them. We should not hold hard feelings against any. We shouldn't hold, a grudge, which, praise Yah, he's pretty much taking that away from me. I don't hold grudges much anymore. I mean, yes. Yeah. Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Yeah. For if we don't forgive those who trespass against us, the Father will not forgive us our trespasses, it says.
I'd say hate takes a lot of energy.
Oh, it does.
And you lay there at night hating and doing that and you can't sleep. It's just,
There's no peace in it.
there's no peace.
And that's,
Until I got these things back, and I still have it against people. But I've learned to hate, but it's not people.
and I'd kind of like to end up with, just kind of saying something that I've said probably a million times, but, it's, the joy and love that's in this place is what keeps me going. And it has since the first day I rolled in the doors. It's so wonderful to be surrounded by people that love you and are earnestly concerned about you. Yeah, that and the food.
I used to tell people,
Yeah.
No, it's the singing outside.
Yeah.
I'm the closest thing you got to a friend, I don't even like it.
But I thank you all for putting up with me for this time. And Harry, would you like to say the blessing on the food? Okay, thank you.